Hello and welcome back to the course on Introduction to Solid-State Physics. In the last class, we have discussed about the crystal structure, the basic idea about the crystals, how many crystal systems are there, what is Bravais lattice, and how many Bravais lattices are possible. We know the concept of the unit cell. We know what is a primitive cell. All these things we have discussed in the last class. That was a brief introduction to the crystal structure. Today let us discuss few other terminologies associated with the crystal system, and the first one is called as the packing fraction. As the name suggests, it decides how much the unit cell has been packed by the atoms. Mathematically, it is defined as the ratio between the volume occupied by the atoms in the unit cell to the total volume of the unit cell. So this is how we can write the packing fraction. It is the volume occupied in the unit cell by the atoms to the volume of the unit cell. And so now let us take few simple examples. Mainly we will stick ourselves to the simple cubic unit cell and the FCC and BCC. So let us try to find out first of all the packing fraction for the simple cubic unit cell. So this is how the unit cell of simple cubic crystal looks like. So the lattice points are all at the corners. That's why it is the primitive or the simple cubic simple Bravais lattice. So in this case, now let us fill it with the atoms. So the moment I fill it with the atoms, this is how each face will look like. Suppose let us focus on this particular face. This is the face. So at the each corners we are having the atoms because the lattice points are at the corners, and we know that the lattice parameter is A and it is the same for all the sides since it is a cubic kind of crystal system. So this is the lattice parameter, and if R is the radius of the atom, so we can find out a relation between R and A. In this case, R is simply it is equal to A by 2, and in the simple cubic unit cell we can see that each atom is going to contribute 1 by 8, or each lattice point is going to contribute 1 by 8 to this unit cell. So it contains only one lattice points. So the number of lattice point per unit cell is 1 in this case. So now let us find out the packing fraction. As it has been defined, it is the ratio between the total volume occupied inside the unit cell by the atoms to the volume of the unit cell. Since it is a cubic structure, the volume is pretty easy to calculate, that is A cube, and since it contains only one lattice point, that means only one atom, even though it contains 8 atoms at the 8 corners, but the contribution to this unit cell is only 1 by 8. So we can count it as 1 atom times the volume of 1 atom, that is 4 by 3 pi R cube, and then we can replace R with A by 2. So this A cube and A cube will get cancelled, so we will end up with pi by 6. So the packing fraction of the simple cubic unit cell is pi by 6, or nearly it is 52%. Now let us come to the face centered cubic structure. So this is how the unit cell for the FCC lattice looks like. So here we can see at the each face we are having the lattice points. So the moment we fill it with the atoms, this is how each face will look like. So this is the center atom, this is the center atom, and these are the corner atoms. And for each center, this is the diagonal of each face. So this is the diagonal corresponding to this particular face, and since the lattice parameter is A, this is A, this is A, so naturally this diagonal will be root 2 times A, and there are 3 atoms here, one is here and another one is here. So these are the 3 atoms, 1, 2 and 3, and each atom is having a radius of R, and these 3 atoms are lying at the diagonal of this face. So here we can put R plus R 2R 3r and 4r. 4r is equal to root 2a. So that is the relation between r and a. So let me erase the ink. So now how many lattice points are there per unit cell here? So there are 8 points, 8 lattice point at the 8 corners. So each will contribute 1 by 8, and there are 6 faces, and the contribution by each face is half. So half into 6, it is 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So the total number of lattice points per unit cell is 4. So practically there are 4 atoms per unit cell. So we can find out the packing fraction. So this is the 4 number is because of the number of lattice points per unit cell is 4, then multiplied by the volume of each atom. So this is the total volume occupied inside the unit cell by the atoms, and we know the volume of the unit cell is a cube. So it will be pi into root 2 by 6 after replacing r using this relation, and it comes out to be around 74%. And we'll see that this FCC is the maximum packed structure. FCC as well as the hexagonal closed pack system, they are the maximum packed structure. That means they are having the highest packing fraction of 74%. Now let us come to the third and the final example, that is the body centered cubic. We know that in the body centered cubic unit cell, together with the 8 lattice points at the 8 corners, we are having another atom, one additional atom at the body center. So now when we fill it with the atoms, this is how this particular plane will look like. So this is this plane. This plane has been represented. So naturally there are 3 atoms here. So this one, and this one, and the body diagonal, we know that it is root 3a. That is parameter is a. So the body diagonal will be root 3a. So this one will be the body diagonal, which will be root 3a. So there are 3 atoms are going to contribute. So each atom will contribute, this is going to contribute r, this is 2r, and here it is again r. So 4r is equal to root 3a. And how many lattice points per unit cell are there? So 1 by 8 into 8 at the corner points, and 1 is at the body center. So it will be 1 plus 1, that will be 2. So there are 2 lattice points per unit cell. So you have to multiply 2 with the volume of each atom. So that is 2 into 4 by 3 pi r cube, and the volume of the unit cell is a cube. So it comes out to be pi into root 3 by 8 after putting the required value for r in the form of a. So it comes out to be around 68%. So we saw that the packing fraction for simple cubic is 52%. That means 52% of the space inside the unit cell is been occupied by the atoms, whereas 48% is void. Whereas in case of FCC unit cell, 74% of the space inside the unit cell has been occupied by the atoms, whereas the rest 26% is void. In case of BCC unit cell, 68% of the unit cell has been occupied by the atoms, and the rest 32% is void. So this is one terminology which often is used in context with the crystal systems. That means how much the unit cell has been packed by the atoms. So next let us discuss what is called as the Miller indices, which is denoted using this parameters h, k and l inside this first bracket. We know that the crystal can be considered as a series of planes passing through the lattice points, and these planes are what? These planes contain the atoms, and they are called as the lattice planes, and the Miller indices are used to index these lattice planes. So to identify this lattice planes, we take the help of this Miller indices, and there is a definite way to find out these values of h, k, l for a particular lattice plane. So let us take an example here. So suppose a, b and c are the corresponding basis factors for a 3-dimensional lattice, and let us we are focusing let us try to focus on this particular plane. So first of all, let us see at what point this plane is going to intercept the A, B and C axis. For A axis, the particular intercept is 3A, whereas for axis B it is 3B, whereas for axis C it is only C. So the first step is to find out the intercept of this plane with respect to the A, B and C axis and write it like this. Then you have to divide it with the corresponding lattice parameter. So in this case, 3A has to be divided by A, 3B with B and C with C. So we will get the values 3, 3 and 1 if you divide it by the corresponding lattice parameters. Next step is to take the reciprocal of these three numbers. So that will be 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 1, that is 1. Then we need to take a common ratio. That means the denominator for these three particular quantities has to be the same. The particular values has to be the same. So how to do that? Already these two are the same, 1 by 3, 1 by 3. So here what you have to do to bring in the number 3 in the denominator, you have to write it as 3 by 3. So we can write it in terms of the common ratio, that is 1 by 3, 1 by 3 and 3 by 3. Now if I put the numerators, that is 1, 1, 3 in the bracket like this, then this is called as the Miller indices of this particular plane. So for this particular plane, the Miller indices are 1, 1 and 3. We should remember that for indexing a plane we use this kind of fast bracket, not this curly bracket or the square bracket. We have to use this kind of fast bracket. So 1, 1, 3 is used to denote this particular plane or to represent this particular plane. This is called as the Miller indices for this particular plane. So now let us take another example. Let us take a particular cubic unit cell and let us try to find out the Miller indices for this plane. In this shaded region, what is the Miller indices? So you can see this particular plane is cutting or intercepting the A axis at A, whereas with respect to B and C, this is infinity. It is never meeting the axis B and C. So the intercepts are A, infinity, infinity. So if you divide it by the corresponding lattice parameter, it becomes 1, infinity, infinity, and then when you take the corresponding reciprocal of this number, it becomes 1, 0, 0, and the common ratio also remains the same. So the plane is 1, 0, 0 and this plane is perpendicular to this axis A. Similarly, this plane will correspond to, this plane is parallel to this B axis, but it intercepts the A and C axis at A and C respectively. So the corresponding Miller indices for this blue shaded plane can be 1, 0, 1. So this is the plane for this blue colored line, denoted using this blue color line. This is the Miller indices. So this is 1, 0, 1 and this is 1, 0, 0. Like that we can find out the Miller indices for any given plane by finding out the intercept of this plane with this A, B and C axis. Let us look at another notation. So if you have a family of planes, for example 101, 110, 011, so there are 2 1s and 1 0 in the all these cases. So this family of planes can be denoted using this curly bracket, 1 0 1 or 0 1 1, anything you can write it, but it should be written inside this curly bracket, and it represents a family of planes corresponding to 101, 110 and 011. Similarly, for the direction, we can write the family of directions can be represented using this angular brackets. that is n1, n2, n3. So this family of directions 101 correspond to 101 direction, 110 direction and 011 direction. All are put under this square bracket. If you remember, we had represented any vector for a particular lattice point in the 3D space as n1a plus n2b plus n3c. So this n1, n2, n3, they decide the direction for this particular vector, and the family of these directions can be represented using a single entity, that is the angular bracket 1, 0, 1. So you should not get confused between these three brackets. This first bracket correspond to the Miller indices, the curly bracket correspond to the family of planes, and this angular bracket correspond to the family of directions, whereas the square bracket correspond to a particular direction, a single direction. Now let us introduce another terminology associated with the crystal structure, which is called as the Wigner side cell. Actually, this Wigner side cell is a type of primitive cell. That means it contains only one lattice point. But if you have a given lattice, practically we can have infinite number of possible primitive cell. So which one we need to choose, that is not properly clear. So different people, depending on the need, can choose different types of primitive cells, because there can be infinite number of possible primitive cell. Whereas for the Wigner side cell, it is fixed. Only one Wigner side cell can exist for a particular lattice. So it can be cleared if you look at the very definition for Wigner side cell. So Wigner side cell or the Wigner side unit cell is defined as the locus of all the points which are closer to a given lattice point than to any other lattice points. So what does it mean? Suppose if I choose a lattice point and decide that this lattice point is going to constitute the corresponding Wigner side cell for the given lattice, then no other lattice point should be closer to that particular region. So now let us take an example and this definition will be clear. Let us take a two-dimensional square lattice. So there is an infinite two-dimensional square lattice, and we have shown only 9 lattice points here. So they extend infinitely in the x and y direction. Suppose we want to construct the Wigner side cell around this lattice point. So as for the definition, what is the Wigner side cell? That means it is the region surrounding this particular lattice point which is closer to this point than to any other lattice point. So you have to find out a region where all the points are closer to this point than to other lattice points. So how to do that? So for that, what we have to do, first of all we have to see all the neighbors of this particular unit cell and draw the corresponding guidelines. So first step is to identify the neighbors. There is a neighbor, is a neighbor. So there are 8 neighbors for this. So we have to identify all the neighbors and draw the corresponding guidelines. So this is one guideline, this is another set of guidelines. So now let us focus at one of the lattice point. So let us focus on this lattice point. So we have to find out a region of space in which all the points are closer to this point than to this point. So how to find out that? You have to draw the corresponding perpendicular bisector. So if I draw the perpendicular bisector, so all the points which lie on right side of this bisector is closer to this point than to this point. Similarly, if I focus on this particular lattice point, let me draw the perpendicular bisector between this lattice point and this lattice point. This is the perpendicular bisector. So all the points which are lying on the left of this bisector, they are closer to this point than to this particular point. Similarly, I can do it for this lattice point and this lattice point. So if I do it for the top one, then all the points which are below this particular line, they are closer to this point than to this point. Similarly, here all the points which are closer, which are top of this line, they are closer to this lattice point than to this lattice point. Now let us look at the points which are here, here, here and here. So for these points also we have to draw the perpendicular bisectors. So these are the perpendicular bisectors, and since it is a squared lattice, we can see that this bisector is matching with that of the other points. So that's why they do not contribute to this Wigner side cell. But this is true only for the squared lattice. If for other symmetry, this is not always the case. Now we have to enclose the region which is surrounded by this perpendicular bisectors, and that region is called as the Wigner side cell. So this is the region, and if I repeat this region, then I can generate the entire crystal, and it contains only one lattice point, and this is unique to this particular lattice. We cannot have different choices of this Wigner side cell, and the concept of Wigner side cell will be helpful for us also to understand the Brillouin zone which is defined in the reciprocal space. Let us take another example. So this is another example. So here we can see this is the corresponding lattice point around which we have constructed the Wigner side cell. So we have drawn the perpendicular bisectors for all the neighbors, and the pink region is the Wigner side cell, and when we repeat it, we can generate the entire crystal. In 2 dimension, the Wigner side cell is an area, whereas in 3 dimension, the Wigner side cell is a volume. So we can have different shapes for the Wigner side cell for the different crystal structure. So we learnt about the packing fraction and the Wigner side cell and the Miller indices. So 3 important concepts today we learnt. And next section we are going to discuss about the crystal diffraction, which will give us an insight into the structure of the crystals. That means how the atoms are arranged, what are the lattice parameters, what are the lattice planes. All these things can be studied using the crystal diffraction. That we will do it in the next class.